So Papa, today we will be designing a system.
Okay.
It could be any system like a stockbroker app like Zerodha, or it could be Swiggy, Zomato, Amazon, anything. We'll try to understand how the backend of any system looks like. What are the major components?
Great.
Okay, firstly, there's something called front end and there's something called backend.
Backend.
Can you tell me what is front end, what is backend, like roughly?
Backend is basically the computation part.
On the server. Front end is what we use like on mobile
Yes,
or application, correct? So I know that you know there's something called server on the back end, right? So there is a server. So let's see, suppose we start a startup today. Okay. So we have, say, a client. So this is one client and the client is using server. Client sends a request to server.
Yes.
And what does the client get in response?
Some response or report or something, whatever the client is asking for.
Very good. So response. So there's a request and there's a response, right?
Okay.
Everyone understands this?
Yeah.
So now in the starting, say we have, say, 10 to 15 clients. So very easy, we can use the same server.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Depends upon the capacity of the server.
Yes. Depends on the capacity of the server.
Yeah.
Now our number of clients are increasing. Okay. So suppose there were 100 clients. Now there are 1,000 clients, 10,000 clients.
Okay.
Do you think one server is enough?
I don't know how much you have planned initially. When the planning stage, for how many clients you have planned it?
Right. Suppose I have planned for many customers. Still, there will be some limit, right? It's just one machine, right?
And then you'll have to add on to the machines.
I will have to add on to the machines. So basically, now what we are trying to do is we are trying to scale our system.
Scale up the system.
Right?
Yes,
so we are trying to talk about scalability right now.
Okay.
So you said we will add more what? To servers.
Or replace it by a larger server.
Very good. Smart. So if I can explain system design to my father, I can explain to you also, but I can take you from this basic level to advanced level. I have given and cracked a lot of system design interviews and I have a lot of industry experience as well. So based on all my experience, I have come up with a very comprehensive curriculum where I'll be taking you to the advanced level in system design. It's a 5-week live HLD course. So the classes are going to happen live and the recordings are going to be available. All the information is given on the site keertipurswanicourses.com. It's a 5-week course. Check it out. The link is in the description and enroll if you're interested. This is a topic that will definitely make you a better software developer. That will give you an understanding of how the entire system works. So according to me, you should definitely invest your time in upskilling in this topic. Do check it out. Let's get back to the video. You said 2 methods, right? What was the first one that you said?
Add to the servers.
Add more servers.
Add more servers.
So when we add more servers, it's called horizontal scaling. We are trying to scale our system. Horizontal scaling, we are adding more servers to it.
Okay.
What was the second thing that you said?
Increase the computational capacity of the server.
Computational capacity of the server. So what is can you guess what type of scaling that might be called? If this is horizontal.
Is it vertical?
Yes, very good.
Okay. It was just a wild guess.
So because this is horizontal, that is vertical scaling.
Okay.
Very good. Okay. So we understood how we can scale our servers, right? Either we can add more servers or we can add the computational capacity, basically hardware
and
or RAM.
And when we do horizontal scaling and when we resort to vertical scaling, is there any?
Exactly. So let's try to compare and understand what is better. Okay. So when we do vertical scaling, so basically there is the one server and the server is doing everything. Right? Horizontal scaling, matlab there are many servers. Let's try to draw the diagram and understand how horizontal scale might look.
Okay.
So there might be more servers.
Yes.
Now can you think of any problem that might happen if there are multiple servers like this?
The problem will be, I think software should take into care where the request has to be sent.
Very good. Okay.
It is as simple as that.
Right. So
because the requester doesn't know where to send the request.
Correct. So there are multiple clients.
Yeah.
Now, how will client know that the request has to go to this server or to this server or to this server?
There should be some logic prior the request goes to the server, where it sorts out and sends the request to the server where it is to be sent.
Very good. So you said there will be something in front.
In front, yeah.
Right?
Where the sorting should take place, where the request has to be sent.
Right. So basically there are many clients over here. All of them are sending requests to this one particular server. And then this particular component is responsible to see that, okay, the request will go to
where
this
the request
server
has to be sent.
or to this server or to this server.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
So there is some load coming to this component and it has to balance it out between different servers. That is why this component is called load balancer.
Okay. Okay.
So this is something that is there in almost all the systems right now, because there are multiple servers and there's a load balancer that makes sure that the load is properly balanced between the servers.
Now I have a question here. Say suppose talking, because I am conversant with the stock systems. Say suppose we are planning for a Zerodha type of system, and there are multiple servers and there are multiple clients. Clients, say suppose in Gujarat, will be sending more requests than clients placed in some downtown cities. In some, because there are more people who are doing stock broking or stock investing or trading. So the load will be more on one server. They may have to plan it that the request for dealing with such requests, the server have more computational capacity.
Very good. So there are different methods of balancing the load, different strategies. One is, say, round robin. Basically just give one by one server 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But as you said, that one server might have a lot of load, the other server might have less load.
What you said, round server will work only if the load is equally distributed.
Correct. So there are other strategies, like you see that how many requests are already in there in pipeline, and then you balance it out accordingly. So there are different load balancing strategies or different ways to balance the load. So load balancer is responsible to decide that this request will go to which server. See, in most of the cases when we talk about horizontal scaling, vertical scaling, it is usually a combination of both. You will try to use one machine as much as possible. You will try to increase the computational power of one machine as much as possible. You will try to use the server.
To save on the capex.
Yes.
Basically.
You will try to save money in very basic terms. But in most of the systems, you would have to add on more servers, and you would have to do both vertical and horizontal scaling.
Combination of both.
Yes. Now I have another question. All your entire logic, so you said the example of Zerodha. So there are multiple things happening in Zerodha. There is auth, authentication, authorization, login and all. Then there is buying, selling stocks. There might be some monitoring, a lot of stuff happening. Right?
Definitely.
So do you think the entire logic should be with one server? So these are basically just copies, right, of the same code. Server 1, server 2, server 3. But do you think the entire logic should be in one place?
Depends. So suppose there is some system which is not very frequently asked. So suppose at the end of the year, I ask for my capital gains in the stock system. That will be once a year or maybe twice a year.
Very good. See, now the point is that if we keep all the logic in that server, now suppose I'm working
unnecessarily loading the server.
Right. Plus also suppose there's a tech team like coders like me who are working on the logic. Suppose we are working on this logic that is not even that important. So every time I have to make a change in that logic, I will have to change the entire...
It is not only the importance, it is the frequency of use.
Yes, frequency of use. Yes.
And the frequency is very, very less. Maybe once a year, twice a year.
Very good. Yes.
So you need not have it on the system where you are using, where you are having transactions on daily basis or hourly basis.
Right. But this also comes with a cost if you want to move the logic somewhere else. Right. So when it is a small team, like a small startup with small number of clients, it is okay to have the entire logic in one server. So when you do that, it's called a monolithic service.
Monolithic means single service.
Yes. Mono?
Yeah, that is clear.
Smart papa.
So this is what is smart about it.
Monolithic service. Okay. Now what we are trying to talk about is that as our service is growing, as the business logic is growing, we need to divide our business logic. Correct? So now what will happen? There will be many small services. Correct? So what all things did we see till now?
Load balancer.
Very good. How did you remember load balancer?
Because I thought that the load has to be balanced.
Very good. So there's a load balancer, there are clients sending request. We talked about multiple services. See, in the starting when I asked you a question, you said it depends, and it is actually a very good point when I asked you whether you would do horizontal scaling versus vertical scaling, because that is the answer to almost every question in system design. So whether you will use monolith microservices, whether you will do horizontal scaling, vertical scaling, everything depends on a system. On conditions. So we have to talk about trade-offs. What would be better if we do horizontal scaling? What would be better if we do vertical scaling? Similarly for monolith microservices.
Work out the pros and cons of both the systems.
Exactly. We talked about monolith service basically when the entire logic is in one server.
One server. Okay.
Here. So now let's try to see how microservices look. So there will be basically a bunch of services, as the name suggests, microservices, right?
Okay.
I've made a lot of services. It won't be that many, depends on the system. In terms of Zerodha, as you said, so there will be one microservice that will take care of, say, authentication. There will be one service that, as you said, will take care of capital gains.
Yeah.
Right? And one service, suppose, that will take care of buying and selling.
Buying and selling.
Transactions. Very good. So now whenever auth will happen, all the requests will go to this service. Whenever capital gains, as you said, the load on this will be very less.
Very less.
Because the frequency of the request is very
Maybe
less.
more at the end of the year.
As we had talked about horizontal scaling, so maybe we require only 2 services over here, but say for buying and selling, we require a lot of services.
Multiple services. Yeah,
Right.
multiple servers.
Right.
Yeah.
So everything depends on the service, on the business logic. Maybe buy sell is also a big thing. Maybe that can also be divided into microservices.
Yes.
Other than microservices, obviously we have to keep some data somewhere, right? We have to store some data.
Yeah.
Where do we store data?
It will be a large server, first of all. Or it could be what you call today cloud servers.
Database.
Okay.
Database.
Okay.
Right? So there is database over here. So you could have one database, or again you could have multiple databases. Say suppose you're storing some metadata in one database, and suppose you're storing data related to buying, selling transactions in
What
one
is
database.
metadata?
Metadata meaning say user profile information, basically some extra data like user profiles or anything. Depends on the context in which we are talking. So there's some metadata, there's some transactional data, maybe some auth data, anything. So basically there are different types of data. Now you could either have different databases for different kinds of data, or you could again decide to store everything in one database.
Okay.
Another point, like how we discussed in monolith and microservices. In monolith, what will happen, because the entire logic is in one service, it has to be written in one particular technology, right?
Okay.
But when there are multiple services, maybe I can write my authentication in another language, another tech altogether, and my transactions.
But why would you like to do it?
ऐसे कैसे चलेगा दीदी?
Because every language
has some specialties.
Yes.
Okay.
Like Python can be used for say AI, ML stuff.
Okay.
It can be better.
Depends upon
over
the
there.
convenience and the expertise of the language.
Exactly. There are a lot of factors based on which companies make this decision.
Okay.
If you want a lot of like low-level computing, maybe you want to choose C++. If you want to do
I thought it is based on the team. You have a team more conversant with a particular language than you use.
Nowadays, it is usually opposite. Because it depends. Like you hire accordingly, right? That you want your service to be written in a particular language.
That looks reasonable.
Yes. So similarly over here also, based on the kind of data, you choose what kind of database you want to use. So there are different kinds of databases. Like there are databases where you store your data in say rows and columns like tables.
Okay.
So your data would look like tables.
Yeah.
So you must have seen, no? Suppose your...
Yeah, that is...
Right. So there are some rows, there
Tabular
are some
data.
columns,
Okay,
right? So tabular data. There are some databases where you store your data, say in documents itself, or say as a complete file itself. So there are different kinds of databases. Again, you decide, right? But these are the basic components that are going to be there in literally any system.
Okay.
So your client is going to send requests to...
Load balancer.
Load balancer will send requests to different services. Again, you can scale your services, horizontal scaling, vertical scaling, and you will have a database layer. So your services can interact with your databases, can tell that, okay, I have to store it.
Yeah.
These are basically persistent storages. Like you're keeping them.
Okay.
You're keeping the
For a
data.
particular period.
Other than this data that you're going to store, one last component that I want to cover. Right now, how is our request coming? It is coming from client. It is coming to load balancer. It is going to services.
Microservices.
Then we are making some changes, storing some database, right? And suppose we have requested for some data that is already there in the database. Now request goes like this, we get the data and then we return, right? Then it goes back to client.
Yes.
Can you think of any way to speed up the process?
There may not be a need to come back to these microservices. There could be a service which could handle all the responses directly from the database to the load balancer.
Okay, instead of database, let me give you a hint over here. Now suppose the client is asking for same request again and again. For example, in Zerodha, suppose you are saying what all stocks have I bought, or what are the stocks that I am following or liking.
What stocks I have bought or what I am following is in my portfolio. I may be asking repetitively the prices of those stocks.
Yes, prices are going to change, so you'll have to get the data because the data is changing.
Okay.
I am talking about requests that are happening again and again. You're returning the same information also. Like suppose you're opening the portfolio again and again.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So you are asking for the same request and you're getting the same response. But right now what we are doing, we are going from client to load balancer to services to the persistent storage. Plus a point to note over here, like this storage is basically hard disk. It's a costly thing. It makes the system slow. You have to go fetch the data. Plus there's a lot of data. Suppose it's in a tabular format. So imagine lakhs of data. You have to extract the data out. So instead of doing that again and again, if I am smart, I know that some requests are coming again and again.
That can definitely be analyzed and kept at a place or in a system where it could be accessed immediately.
Exactly. So that is...
In your terminology, software terminology, I do not know what it's called, but definitely there will be a method to access it immediately.
Very good. Can you think what a cache means?
Because we have been using this terminology.
Yes.
That what data is available in the cache, that is, it is temporarily stored there.
Exactly. So some requests that are coming to you again and again, and you know that you have to return the response, you can cache those requests and the responses of those requests. Now again, there are various caching strategies.
So suppose I open up the portfolio 10 times in a day.
Right.
So I need not go to the database. I will be accessing the cache and the cache will be returning the information to me.
Correct.
Okay.
Now you can cache based on a lot of strategies like least recently used, like the one that you use very frequently, or very most frequently used, most recently used. There are a lot of strategies possible.
In fact, if you see the latest applications today, again talking about the stock terminology, even without sending a request, it prompts me, these are the stocks you have recently viewed. So I need not even send the request.
That is another concept, like you can store all of them in a particular...
I do not know, but it is making my work easier.
Yes, true.
ये बड़ी अच्छी बात कही आप.
So basically, the point of cache is to make it faster. That you don't have to go to the database, you don't have to bombard with so many requests, you just get the information from the cache and you return it. So now you know how most of the high-level system design works. This is how the backend looks.
It's high level or low level, but the only thing I understood...
This is high level, how can this be low level?
I do not know the difference.
This is high level.
I do not know practically the difference, but yes, it's good to know.
Low level is like code, the code that you write. Okay. This is high level architecture or
so
view
in your
of things.
workshop or what you call it?
So I've done low level boot camps. There I talk about code. Right now I'm talking about the architecture.
System design. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
System.
Got it.
Cool. Enjoyed?
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.